Okay, so I gotta sit down here because I had to plug in my phone. What I wanted to say is I accomplished more of what I really wanted to in this apartment and by myself. But I wasn't by myself. But physically, I was the only human body that was actually here in the room that I'm aware of. It has been tiresome, and I've learned in the process it's the best way for me. I would say it's probably the best way for you serve your inner truth and you do the best you can. God's working with you and your servanthood, and God's going to share with you a whole lot of stuff that you would have missed in doing it Joyce Meyer's way. Listening to people is really good for this reason. You will learn what never to listen to again when listening to another person. I would not have had the life that I did. And going to the Writer Nights and going to the Viking Festival, I only did really a few things. An SAI group, hanging out with Paul when he sang his songs, special moments with Zod, the person who was helping me out, girls' night out, living with Catherine. I wanted to share my life with other people, but it didn't mean that I didn't want to do what was in my brain heart. And I didn't know how. I just knew I didn't want to do it all by myself originally. And now I can say I'm thankful that everybody was in my life. I'm sorry that different people have died already. I'm sorry that at least the people out here in Ohio who people have died that means something to me, for whatever reason, flatly refused to let me know. It's a mystery as to where they're placed, their remains. I'm pretty convinced that Joyce Meyer's and the whole people thing is people are filled up with selfishness and the sinful nature. For me, more so than the Spirit of Christ. Not my idea. I'm talking about in alignment with the Bible. And yes, we all fall short of the glory of God. But it seems to me that more so or not, people just don't care. They lost their way. They lost their sight. There's somebody who's waving. I want to love somebody. You know, at least I want to exercise what I've learned. And God has shown me. You're getting it right with God doesn't mean the rest of the human race is getting it right with you. Not one of those people. I would say maybe a small handful, maybe two, of all the people I met since taking my step out in my transition, do I even talk to once in a while. Joyce Myers lets out about compatibility, psychological. She can't say that she doesn't. Yes, she did. You have to have common interest. And therefore, your better connections with the human race would be people that are having similar thoughts and desires. And together, you two are like servants for God. And it's always best to make sure things are in writing, no matter what, with penalties. That if the person doesn't honor it, then they're going to have their hands smacked. I would never pay a musician to play with me. I would spit in their face. For the first time in my life, I would spit in somebody else's face. Tell you to go fuck yourself. A musician. Any musician. Pick one. Because I just sat here for the last 2 years on my ass, working on 2 albums all by myself, and I sang everything and did all the backups and harmonies, and I played the rhythm guitar, the lead guitar, the second and the third guitar. I played the bass. Okay? I played the lead with the harmony lead. Because I programmed the drums, and I'm not a drummer. Because I programmed the keyboard and other sounds, and I mixed it, and I mastered it, and I EQ'd it, and I automated it, and I was being harassed the whole time that I've done it. Yeah, very stressful. As they were electrocuted. You know when these marks came on my arm? When for the first time in my life I sat down to record my music. Isn't that nice? Merry Christmas. I hope you're enjoying your life. And I don't go around playing for free to a large group of people that obviously wouldn't give a shit about me if I was homeless. They would spit on me and tell me I was scum of the earth. Well, you did it to yourself, did I? I did it all to myself. Every time I applied for an application for a job, every time I applied for a job, and I said no to myself, that I did it. I did it because I knew I was better, is that it? Than working for another man? Say it. That's why I did it. And I put myself through all of these things so I would be a great songwriter and have a heck of a story to share. Sometimes I wonder why things like RVs blow up downtown in Tennessee, floods. Do you ever think it was because I went there and I said, I'm here in the name of Christ? God. The fairy tale. That's all it is. And when somebody like Johnny Cash has a house and he's on TV on a regular basis and he has his own money and he's married, something seems a little weird when Tracilyn goes down to Tennessee and you heard his songs and you heard mine. You saw him, you saw me. You heard him sing, you heard me sing. You heard him play guitar, you heard me. Because there's a lot of people who have houses down in Tennessee that sing songs. And in my opinion, I think the world's crazy. And I'm not believing that they're selling as many albums as they're declaring that they're selling. They're not that good. Something's not right in Tennessee. Why don't you write a song called that? Oh, we got Dolly, you know. She can sing, you know. And her boobs got her places, right? Of course. But with that being said, I'm not picking anyone specifically out. But maybe when somebody shows up in Tennessee with got purpose in their mind, in their heart's mind, maybe Tennessee closes their doors because the flood waters are coming. And people move from Tennessee to Virginia, to other areas of the country because terror's about ready to hit their city. Why do you think that is? Maybe because when you speak, and there's other life forms who have compassion for your circumstances, maybe they see things different. They don't see the same things the way we do. You're not alone, Tennessee. The day that there was a mass shooting up here at the Oregon district, whatever it is, computer or another life form told me to go to the Oregon district just before it happened. They told me to take my guitar. Coincidentally, where I was playing my guitar is where the shooter came out, right alongside it. That's where I used to play when he opened up fire. And you know what I said when I heard it? Chances are the guy was innocent. It's not his fault. He was probably tormented. And chances are some other life form, other human or military, NASA technology, beamed into his head and used him like a robot. Chances are if you were to talk to him, he would have told you he don't remember anything. He blacked out. However, the cop shot him. If I would have went, then chances are that person would have told me to get out of the way. Run. This isn't for you. And why is that? Because I'm convinced that something loves me a lot. And has told me that I'm not, even in times of war, the hardest of times, I'll be safe. I heard that, you know, in the early years of when I was first born. And the more I think about it, the more I believe it. And the more that we serve our inner thoughts, the truth, God, inside of our brain, I'm pretty convinced that that also provides us protection that we would never be able to provide ourselves. Just staying faithful and true to being a servant to God probably has saved many, 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 many people from tragedy. Why am I sharing all this? Because it could be that something is following me around. Maybe that is very evil, maybe not, but maybe very, very evil. Depends on your perception, and is beaming in and out of people, and not only wrecking relationships, evidently trying to engage with me. And when I was sitting here that day, I thought to myself, well, that's why I stopped talking to that person, because it was overkill, meaning it was way out of not cool, okay, to talk to anybody like that, okay, unless it's agreed upon, the two of you, three of you, or whatever, that it's okay to talk like that. And it wasn't mild, by the way. It was pretty gruesome. And with that being said, I'd rather not repeat it. But then he let me know that he would like me to send him a photograph sometime, evidently, I guess, of myself naked. And I simply said, okay, or something like that. But then he contacted me, and I was nice, because the message was nice. This is time later, And he asked me where the photograph was what I promised him. And I can tell you the truth, I never made a promise I would send him. I just said okay. That's not a promise. People see things differently, and when you say okay, they think that you mean that you're going to follow through with something. Okay to me means I get what you're talking about. Okay. In other words, message received. It doesn't mean that I'm going to apply action in that area. It just means that I get what's coming out of your mouth. It's late. I probably have like 3 hours of video. I'll probably cut some of this out so it's shorter. And I'm hoping that as I enter into my 50s, that I'm done talking about my life story for the most part, and I'm sharing more updates of where I am today, and maybe of different visions that I have. And I don't want musicians to think that I think absolutely the worst of musicians. Is just what I'm trying to get apart or across in my walk of life. For me, I realized we're talking about pain. We gotta first talk about Tracilyn's vacation she gets. All expenses paid, the best of everything. We gotta be talking about a lot of other details. A house, a first brand new car ever in my life. Yeah, a glorious life. And I don't work for money to pay people. And everything has to be in writing. Which means what? With penalty. That if the person doesn't abide by what the contract says, they're penalized and they're dismissed. Because I'm sick of wasting my time in relationships with people who claim they want to do something and they don't honor it. We all go through our things, and I have tried to be as honorable as I can. For instance, when I came here, what did the guy say downtown? Mr. Khaki Pants told me. He said, well, they're your songs. They're my songs. They're my songs. They're my songs. But didn't Johnny Cash in the movie sing one of his songs to the producer of Sun Studios? I'm worth more than anybody and all the people that Sun Studio ever produced, ever, altogether. Not more to God. Those people didn't have songs like I have songs at Sun Studios. Sun Studios would have never signed somebody like me to a deal. Why? Because they're insecure with themselves and cowards to make a movement, which was at the time when I was ready to do something to live, was rare in America. I mean, much more than what you think I mean. It's not about transsexualism. You're sick of listening to Bon Jovi music. Yes, you are. Just say it out loud. Say, I am sick of listening to Bon Jovi songs on the radio. I am sick of hearing the band Sick, which is Kiss spelled backwards. Okay, say it. We love them for what we love them for, but something's not right if they're the only ones being on the radio or on TV or dominantly promoted. And let's check into these people's personal life salary and let's ask ourselves, why them and not the average of other people? They're not superior to the human race. You think any of them worship Satan? You think they made their personal deal? Because a lot of people's songs, a lot of them are based on the physical, which would be human relationships, reckless human relationships, a lot of them, self-destructive, not the God's very best. I'm not saying I'm the example. If you pay attention to the words that come out of these people's mouths when they're singing, and what they're all about, watch their language and stuff. And maybe because I sing songs like You Are Holy and Thank You for Washing Me Clean, and, I sing, about truth. It's absolutely impossible to live around fools who condemn. And my songs, in a sense, lead people into psychological, which is where the biggest part of the battle is. Because it's happening in our minds before it happens in the physical. They're already preparing us psychologically, and that's why you got to be careful when you listen to music on the radio. Wherever you can purchase music, be careful of the words you listen to. Be careful of the movies you watch. Be careful of the commercials are all based on death. If you listen to commercials, the majority of commercials are based on sickness and death. And it's to program you to always think, oh, there's something wrong with me. Oh, I might have this or I might have that. I might be diabetic. I might be cancer. I might have AIDS. I might, oh my goodness, I better go to the doctor. Doctor, will I get medication for this, please? I think I have a psychological sickness. Yeah, because they try to brainwash you to die. And when people start coming in tune with it, that's when they start assault attack in an obvious way that says direct energy weapons. So people who have neurology kind of issues, guess what? Neurology probably doesn't exist. That's electricity going through your body. And some people may say that even to the harshest cases of people like Michael J. Fox, the symptoms that he has, or somebody who's paralyzed in a chair, all of that stems to leading to assault by others who have weaponry of some sort that we don't have access to directly ourselves, or a way to shield us in protection. And there could be a good chance that we are hooked up to a computer because there's a chip in us. And they try to tell you, is it in the front? Is it in our wrist? Maybe it's in the back of our skull. It's not so much about 5G, okay? If you're hearing something dominantly promoted, chances are that's not what the problem is. It's something else, okay? Think radio, think television, think lights in a home, think electricity, think whatever gases naturally are in the universe, think of light and sound. Think of these other things and know that you might not have to get what's on the radio. Have you ever heard a song played in your head? Do you think that's how your mind works? Or do you think they're actually using a song in your head? They're pointing it in your head. Do you think it's because it also helps to translate something back from you to them? Or do you think they just like to play things in the back of your brain and they try to redirect your pathways in life? They try to keep whatever's dominantly in your head as being more realistic, true, for an alignment for you for life, and they're trying to keep it foggy, that you can't focus. Because when I used to go to school, I had a hard time focusing. And it all started to make sense when I started to find this other stuff out. And I thought I had learning disabilities. And I thought I had disabilities. And maybe some of these guitar players that can play like the speed of light, maybe the oppression that the rest of us receive when they give their life to Satan and for the work of Satan, maybe they're relieved of some of those stresses, and that's why they can play faster. Maybe we could all play fast like that if we play music. But if you won't give your life to Satan or Satan's way or to Satan's conversation, then maybe you barely have enough to get by in this lifetime. Maybe I should go down to Nashville and start asking the big wigs down there and CMT and C and whatever else it is. Hey, all you people worshiping Satan, because somebody was here, almost died several times, and can vow that the creep she met down in Tennessee and invited them to Derby, New York, have been harassing me ever since. And they try to get people to kill themselves, and they try to wreck their life. You think it's because they want my song Ragtop Cadillac? Mentions about Elvis and Marilyn Monroe and stuff. You may not think so, but if you actually heard the song and you had common sense, you'd realize that not too many people prior to that have written pop hit songs like that. Those are rare treats that we receive. I'm going to let you go. If you're listening to a pastor online, it might be your lifeline, but it may be that you're going to be lost in illusion. Be truthful. Honesty is always the best policy with yourself. And know that it's not people you specifically most likely need in your life as much as you need freedom, so that you can get away from what happens when you're gelling and melting inside of another human being and they're dominating you into a place that because you would never be as free even if you slept with bedbugs and cockroaches and you had big, tall black guys come into your room and tell you got to throw all of your stuff away because it's your fault that you have bed bugs. Okay, evidently. Yes, he killed a bed bug. He put a blood stain, I remember I said to God, the guy, the exterminator who put a blood stain on my bed. How would he like if God put a blood stain on his bed like he did mine? That could probably be arranged, huh? Not by me. Maintenance. Put a hole in my wall. A year and a half later, they sort of fixed it, but not really. Why do you think that was? Evidently, they might have been working on something. Yeah, they were fixing something over there. And they'll fix it when they have time. There's other apartments here to take care of. I'm going to have awesome stories maybe for the rest of my life. And by the way, for anybody who watches this, I'm not weak. I am along with the strong. And I would tell people to be mindful. Because when the world perceives things that's going on right now as harsh and tragic, know this, I'm safe, and evidently something's communicating with me. And evidently, well, a lot of people are dropping over like flies. Thank God I am safe and working on my 4th album with nothing more than me and God in the room. Goodbye.